Hi everyone, welcome to day one of the core challenge. I'm excited to get going with you. We're going to start with some basics today and then we'll build up on it as the days progress. So there's three ranges of motion that your core is really responsible for. One is taking you forward, one is back bending, side to side, twist and twist. So the first 3 days we're going to go through those ranges of motion, and then the last 4 days we'll kind of interlink all the movements that you've already done and start to progress them. So we're going to start on all fours first of all. And I want you just to spread your fingers out so there's equal spacing between all of them. And then if you look at your arms, right at the elbow joint, there's like the wrinkly skin on the back and then the crease on the front, the elbow crease. I want you just to make sure you rotate that elbow crease to face forward out over your fingers. And at the same time that you draw your shoulder blades down into your back. So we really want to avoid this position where everything is dropped down and hunched. So if you can think of pulling your shoulder blades away from each other and then slightly drawing the chin towards the chest, it's a good place to start. So the position we're going to play with today is what we call flexion, which really recruits a lot the six-pack muscle and then some of the deeper stabilizing abdominal wall. So as you exhale, I want you to think of a sad dog on a rainy day. So you're going to take a breath in, exhale and draw your tailbone down to the floor between your knees, and then imagine that you could pull it forward towards your chest. Now, if you're familiar with cat stretch, put the reins on that. Don't let your head get involved right now. Inhale and change this. Take your tailbone, send it up to the ceiling and go into happy dog mode. So as you exhale and the tail comes down and under, the abdominal wall has to recruit to allow the pelvis to find this position and your back muscles have to lengthen. As you inhale and you go into happy dog mode, sending your tailbone to the ceiling, we get the reverse stomach muscles stretch and low back contracts. Keep going. Now, if you're a little confused and you don't really know what the tailbone is, it's this big chunk of bone right where two bum cheeks join. You want to think of that chunk of bone being able to really tip itself down and forward and then extend itself back and up toward the ceiling. Now, as you continue to do that, just see if you're putting a lot of pressure into your hands. So maybe instead of moving the pelvis, what you're doing is pulling your shoulders up like this and then dropping them down. I want you to take the upper body out of the movement and see if you can start to isolate this into the pelvis. Now, the thing is, the better and better you get at this, the smaller and smaller the range of motion in the pelvis becomes. And people are often just looking for big because they're used to seeing something very visual. If you're just going to move the pelvis and not the rib cage, this is going to be really small. Let's go one more time. And now let's turn over onto your back and see if we can find the same position and then start to use that for some of the exercises. So once you lie yourself all the way down, the first thing I want you to do is have your knees bent and place your feet so that they feel about the width of your pelvis. We'll go into that in a bit more detail later, but I don't want you to stand the feet really out wide to the edges of the mat or together, but just take them about a hip width apart so the knees have a space between them. Now, here's the thing. If you've laid on your back and your chin is like this, it's up toward the ceiling and your neck is all short and crunchy, it's going to make a difference to how your ribs lie on the floor, and that will make a difference to how your pelvis lies on the floor, and that will be the key between you being able to engage your stomach muscles successfully or not. So I want you to nod yes a couple of times. This was not a good day to wear a hair clip, was it? And finish where your chin is a little down towards your chest, your neck is long. Now, if you've done that, but you still feel like your chin is poking to the ceiling, grab a towel, fold it up into a pad and bring it underneath your head. You want your mid-back right here at the bottom of your shoulder blades anchored down onto the floor. So girls, it's really easy for you. Kind of that bra strap area at the bottom of your shoulder blades, that should be down on the mat right now. And for guys, you want to imagine like a heart rate monitor where you would wrap that around your chest, that area down. Place your hands on your rib cage. And now as you exhale, I want you to follow the pubic bone and bring it up toward the ceiling and hold. And if you've understood that correctly, the lower back now will be down onto the floor. I've got on the back of the body, the top of the pelvis sitting to the floor, but now the tailbone is actually sliding through between the knees and up toward the ceiling. Now I want you to reverse that. On your next inhale, can you let the pelvis roll forward until you feel the arch of your lower back come into play? So this is exactly what you did on all fours. Exhale, let the pelvis come back toward the floor. Feel how your lower back arch goes. If I tried to put my hand in this curve of your back, it would be hard for me to get my hand through. And then inhale and roll the pelvis forward. Now, here's the thing. If you're not moving your pelvis, but what you're doing is pushing your back in the floor and popping your back off the floor, you won't recruit the abdominal muscles in the way that they are meant to function. So I want you to really make sure you follow the motion of the pelvis. I like to put my fingers on the front of the pelvis and feel those two bones drop back down towards my waist and then come up toward the ceiling. But your hands, if you have them on your ribs, they're monitoring that the back of your rib cage is not moving at all. So how small does this movement of the pelvis need to be for you so that your low back curve really sits between your pelvis and the bottom of your rib cage and isn't a low back curve that's going all the way up between your shoulder blades? So these little key things are crucial to building a strong core that's functional, that when you go to pick up something heavy, your core muscles just reflexively engage and do what they're supposed to. So this stuff can seem a bit boring in the beginning, but once you get it, it's the key to the rest of this 7-day challenge really falling into place. And if you're doing this challenge because you suffer with low back pain, you really want to nail this little tucking and tilting of the pelvis in a way that affects probably about 1 to 2 backbones between the pelvis and the rib cage and not much more. Okay, so here's where this starts to kick in. Interlace your fingers and take your hands to the back of your head. I like to keep the thumbs undone and let the thumbs sit down the back of my neck. And then close your elbows in. So you've made a little cradle or a bag for your head to sit in. Nod your head up and down as if you're saying yes, and finish with the chin towards the chest. Now fix your eyes on the ceiling above you. As you exhale, pick your head up to the spot that you're looking at on the ceiling, and right now your pelvis should not have changed position, and let your head come down. Pause for a moment. Roll your pelvis back, lower back goes in toward the floor. Roll your pelvis forward, lower back comes away from the floor. Find me the middle ground where the back ribs are heavy on the floor. Now, can you pick up your head using your hands and your arm strength so your pelvis hasn't moved at all right now, and come back down? Repeat that 2 more times. So we're trying to recruit the highest part of the 6-pack, way up here at the top of the rib cage. And so right now, we don't need the pelvis to join in. Now, the next time you come up to the ceiling, now we're going to add on. Now take your gaze forward and look out through your knees and see how your head, your neck, your chest all lifted up and forward a little bit more. Now the pelvis should have rolled back and the lower back should be toward the floor. I want you to exhale and see if you can deepen into that just a hair more, and then release yourself back and down. So as you exhale, come up to the ceiling first, pause, take a breath in, exhale, and now send your gaze forward through your knees and gently encourage the pelvis to roll back until you can feel the lower back into the floor, and inhale to release down. 2 more times. Up to the ceiling first, then forward with your gaze through your knees second, and then deepen into the next exhale. Allow the pelvis to find something more of that sad dog or tucking position and release back down. Pause for a moment on the floor. Now, because your head has come down, your low back arch should have come back into place. So just notice whether that's the case or whether you've held on to that tucked position or sad dog position. See if you can roll the pelvis slightly forward and find me a low back curve. Exhale, pick up your gaze straight to the ceiling, head, neck, maybe a little bit top of shoulders is lifted. Now take your gaze forward, and at this point, because your head has moved forward, your pelvis should have come back into the tuck. Exhale, deepen into that. Stay there till there's no out breath left, and then release back down. And hopefully that gave you a little bit of the tremble of truth, I like to call that. Okay, so now from here, bring one knee into your chest, take your hand, hold on the back of the thigh, bring the other leg in, and hug the legs strongly in towards you. Now, if you're pulling your legs towards you, can you feel how the pelvis is rolled back again and that low back is flat into the floor again? So from here, I want you now just to lift the shin bones up slightly, make some space for your hands, and then take the hands away. Now, if you let your legs slowly travel away from you, can you feel how the pelvis begins to undo itself? That low back arch begins to reappear, and now the weight is moving down towards the bottom of the tailbone sacrum, right towards that junction of the two bum cheeks, and then bring the knees back in. Now, the next time the legs go forward, I want you to find that low back arch, but put your hands on your ribs. And as your legs travel forward, don't let them go so far forward that any of your back ribs come off the floor. Keep them really anchored and weighted down and bring them in. So there is going to be a just right position for you, which might look different to the just right position for me. But if where your hands are sitting on your ribs, every time you send the legs forward, the ribs do this, they pop up and there's an arch here. You're not going to be working in your stomach muscles at all. Those guys are just going to be pulled right out into a stretch. So 2 more times to see if you can find the just right place. And you kind of know you've hit it because you can feel the abdominal wall suddenly brace itself. And that's what we're looking for. So the next time you think you have it, stay there. Interlace your fingers, hands to the back of your head, thumbs down the back of your neck, and close the elbows in. Fix your eyes on the ceiling above you, chin a little to your chest. Exhale, lift your upper body up and then forward. Now can you exhale and let the pelvis roll back until that low back is flat onto the floor. Stay here and take me 3 rounds of breath. Now, every time you exhale, you're going to allow the pelvis to find that slight sense of rolling back towards your belly button. On the inhale, it will naturally release itself. Exhale, let the pelvis roll back towards your belly button. Inhale, it releases 1 more time. And let it release. Good job. Hold on to the back of your legs. Now, if you have no back issues, rock yourself up to sitting. If you do have back issues, turn on to one side and come on up to sitting. So then we want to take that motion and see if we can put it into the roll-up, which is a very classical Pilates exercise. So the distance from your heels to your bum is also crucial. Too close, and you see how I'm being pushed back into the floor. Too far away, and there's a chance that I might start to push my ribs forward. So you're trying to find these little sit bones, 1 in each bum cheek. And you might find that you need to pull some of the padding here out of the way to find those little bony bones, kind of 1 in each side, quite chunky. You want to feel like you're right up clearly on those bones. Now take your hands to the back of your thighs, dig your heels down, and just let the heels do a little forward and backward motion. And what you should feel here is right under the back of your hands that those muscles are tightening and releasing, tightening and releasing. Notice if one does more than the other. That's always an interesting thing to pay attention to, because then we know potentially one side of the back is not working quite as strongly as the other side. Okay, now pause for a moment. Keep your hands here, but get your heels pushing down and then pushing forward. Now can you roll your pelvis back until you're onto straight hands? Now if you go side to side, you shouldn't be able to feel those bony bones, but notice if your feet started to point away. Can you pull them back for me? Now press the heels down, pull them towards you and roll back up onto your sit bones. Take the heels, push them down and forward, push back, and now grab the heels and pull them towards you as you come up. So I want you to keep going with that, but just notice I'm not moving my heels. I'm just engaging the muscles. Now hold here at the back and take your hands away. Now use your heels, pull them towards you and come up. Put your eyes on the horizon in front of you. Push the heels down and away from you and roll back. And now pull the heels towards you and roll forward. If you want to get really smart, exhale and push back, quick sip of air in, exhale, pull forward. One more time. Exhale, push back, quick sip of air in, exhale, pull forward. And then take your hands behind you, stretch your legs out, roll them in and out. And if that gave your low back any grief, then for now you stay holding on to the back of your thighs. Okay, from here we're going to turn over onto your stomach and see if we can take this idea of the pelvis tucking under to recruit the stomach muscles to help you get off the floor in this position. So this is the start of building strength for planks, push-ups. I call this the pull-up. I don't think it has like an official name, but that's my official name. So you're going to make two little fists that come up near your shoulders. There's going to be a little voice in your head that says, push your fists into the floor to help yourself. Just put that little voice in a cupboard. That's not what I want you to do. Now listen, the first time you try this, there's a high chance that you might feel that your arms are better served moving somewhere else. And you can absolutely do that until you get stronger. But I have my elbows quite close into my rib cage, my two forearms pointing straight ahead and my fists lifting off the floor. Now, just to make sure that I don't muffle the sound, I'm going to keep my head up, but you should rest your head down. And in fact, if you can rest your head so that you're close to your forehead or your hairline, will be really helpful. Now, as you exhale, can you follow your tailbone and draw it down between the inner thighs toward the floor until you feel some pressure comes on the pubic bone, and then let it release. So lying on your stomach, can you create that sense of sad dog? Draw the tailbone down and under and let it release. So that's the first thing that I want you to master, is being able to play with this sense of pulling under and letting it release. The second layer to this is as you draw the tail down and under and you feel the weight come on the pubic bone, you're going to hold that and see if you can stay here and begin to think about picking the rib bones up. Not that they're actually going to lift from the floor, but you want to imagine that they're hovering above the mat and let it release. Now, here's what you don't want to do. It doesn't look like this. There's no pushing from the arms. There's no lifting anything off the floor right now. Right now, I'm just trying to get you into the deepest, darkest corners of your abdominal wall. And the way to do that is to get that tailbone down and under, and then the front of the rib cage barely resting on the floor. So if you think you have it, on your next exhale, can you keep that and press up onto your elbows and knees? Now, see how low the position is. Notice if you've done this and come back into the air. Can you bring yourself forward and tuck the tail and then release back and down? So we're basically taking that curl up position on your back and putting you into it on your front. So on your exhale, tail goes under, rib cage draws up, press into the elbows and pull yourself up. And then see if you can keep that as you come down. You want to think hips are the last thing to hit the floor. Ribs really stay pulled up to come back down. Last one. Exhale, tuck the tail under, pull the ribs up, pull up onto your elbows and knees, and then let yourself come down. Okay, now place your hands on the floor, push yourself up onto all fours, open the knees wide, turn the feet towards each other, and sit back into rest position. All right, and that is your first 20-minute session done. If you get a chance to go through it again, I would definitely take that. Otherwise, I'll see you on the mat tomorrow for day 2. Well done. Hi, I really hope you enjoyed working out with me. I'd love to send you my free 30-minute Restore Your Whole Body Pilates program. All you need to do to receive that is just click the link below in the description or pinned into the top of the comments. That will take you straight through to a page where as soon as you enter your email address, you'll be given direct access to the video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That's the fastest way to get a notification every time I post a new video here. And lastly, I love to make content, but it's really helpful to me if you can leave a comment telling me what you enjoyed about this video and what other content you would like me to create. Anything that you particularly want to work on, whether it's shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, just leave me a comment. I'll check it out and I'll see what I can do. Thank you.